Hey everybody, Star 6 Wars 1 here, and welcome to the 11th review of Anime Movie Month. For this one, we are taking a look at the Mind Screw OVA that is Fooly Cooly. Now, to be very blunt here, this is one of the biggest mind screws I've ever seen. Bigger than Akira, bigger than half the other stuff I've seen out there, but this is probably one of the biggest mind screws ever. But there's something almost enjoyable about it. Yeah, it's kind of strange. It's its own enigma, but I'll get into it a little bit more later. First, the story. You expect me to talk about the story? No. It's not that I don't want to explain the story, it's that by a certain point, you just stop caring. And when it came to the story of Fooly Cooly, eventually I just stopped caring. Specifically at episode 3. I couldn't stand trying to understand the story anymore, and I was barely trying to understand it to begin with. So, to try and tell you the story is... No, I'm not even going to go into it. It's way too much of a mind screw for this person. But, I can't get into one other thing, the characters. I'll be honest with you here and say, I liked the characters enough. I do think, though, that they're not the highlight of this thing. That's the insanity this brings. They are kind of the middle. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. Haruka, though, is probably the best character of the show. She contributes about to half, if not more, of the insanity of this show. And she was voiced by Kari... Can't remember her last name. Dang it. She does a really bang-up job. And if you want other voice sounds from her, she voiced Saber in Fate Zero. But she did a bang-up job as Haruka. Other notable performances are from Melissa Fawn, who played, I think, a third potential love interest for the main character, who is Naoto. Naoto is played by Barbara Goodson. And if you don't know Barbara Goodson, well, I'll have this clip for you. Not clip, but I'll have this the sound thing for you to tell you who it is.
I can't believe they beat us back!
You hear that? Yeah, that's her. They're the same. It's weird. It's really, really weird. But you know what? I think they all three do a pretty bang-up job. And I would describe the rest of the English dub as a pretty good one, because you even hear Steve Bloom in there somewhere. So, again, bang-up job on the dub. No complaints here. What I will complain about, however, is the animation. It switches whenever it wants to, multiple times an episode, and sometimes it looks like utter shit, to be blunt. But I gotta give them props. It kind of helps add even more to the insanity of the show. You see South Park animation, for crying out loud. Who does that in anime? Anyway. Next up would be the music. Now, I think for the entire soundtrack, it was done by a band called The Pillows. I'm not going to question their name. I actually think they do a pretty good job. Okay, the music's not spectacular, and it's not one I'd probably listen to all that often. But overall, I don't think it was all that bad. And there is at least one song, Little Busters, that was a personal favorite of mine. So again, no complaints to the music. It added more to the show. Now, overall, my biggest problem with FLCL is that the first 2 episodes I did not like. Not in the slightest. The first episode felt overly annoying. You kind of have to get used to the insanity of the world, and I don't think the first episode does a very good job of it. And the second episode, well, does better, still not there yet. By episode 3, you either stop caring or start enjoying it. It's only 6 episodes, so it's an easy one to check out. And overall, I think this was a pretty good anime. Not the best, mind you. And I've seen far better ones, but out of the OVAs I've watched, aside from Clannad, this will be considered my middle one. I think it's better than Rurouni Kenshin's, but not as good as Clannad's. Alright, I think that's about it. And I'll give this a score of a 7 out of 10. The first 2 episodes and a few other minor complaints from the show really do hamper it, but I do recommend you watch this just to say, hey, you want to see the most insane anime you've ever witnessed? Yeah, this is probably very high up there. Alright then, this has been Star 6 Wars 1, and I'll see you tomorrow for a very special video, or if you don't want to check that out, then I'll see you on December 27th for Fate's Day Night Unlimited Blade Works. See you guys then.